Hello, welcome to Guide to the Unknown. I'm Kristen.
I'm William.
Thank you for coming and sitting by the fireside with us here tonight.
We're here for another fireside chat.
That's right, our weekly address to the union of spooky people.
Where we address the nation.
Yep.
You know, we're technically international, but I also think...
I mean, yeah, but...
we're very technically
just saying
not.
that is...
There's like one person in China who listened to us once, you know? Like,
no, there are weirdly more. Like not
there are people international,
not a ton, but like yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We should go
in
scary
surprising
abroad.
countries that aren't necessarily like primarily English speaking.
Yeah.
Like I've seen that on the little map thing.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
We have stats.
Yeah.
We're not good at following them. I don't really know what to make of them.
Yeah.
Heads nor tails.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. Every week on Guide to the Unknown, Kristen and I do research on horror topics.
Yep.
We come here, sit together, and tell each other little stories about the world of terror.
Yeah.
Terrifying artifacts.
And William, speaking of little stories, I think you've got a little one tonight to start off with.
You are absolutely right. I've got a little quickie. This is called Bite-Sized Monster Madness, when we don't have something that usually would take up a longer segment. And guess what? It's time for some bite-sized monster madness right this second.
That's right.
Kristen, I'm going to talk to you right now about spooky skeletons.
That's a really funny bite-sized monster madness.
Yeah. Well, because I was watching a bunch of, people sharing gifs and stuff. It's the Halloween season.
Yeah.
I keep seeing ones of old cartoons. They almost look like Disney-style
I know exactly what you're
cartoons
talking about. Skeletons dancing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like rolling their heads across their shoulders like a basketball.
Cool.
So
like a little Harlem Globetrotter?
Yes. And so I was wondering,
coming to your high school?
is there anything other than like skeletons are creepy looking and cool to the idea of the skeleton itself sort of reanimating?
Yeah, being a scary thing.
Coming after you.
Yeah.
So there's not much to say here. It's going to be pretty quick.
Okay.
Basically, it seems like a lot of this harkens back to the skeleton as sort of a metaphor for death itself. Not death with a capital D, not the Grim Reaper necessarily, although sometimes the Grim Reaper is depicted as a skeleton man.
Yeah.
But like, artwork of a bunch of skeletons is obviously artwork about the end of life.
Yeah.
And more specifically, it seems like the personification of death as a skeleton might be influenced from the book of Ezekiel.
Oh, okay.
From the Bible.
I've had his bread.
What is Ezekiel bread? Wow. For something that I didn't even understand, that was a real double snorter.
Oh my God. It's a sprouted grain bread. It's very healthy.
That sounds yummy.
It's okay. I'm not going to lie. Right. It'll do the trick when you're trying to be like healthy.
Huh, that did the trick. You say. As you
It'll make a sandwich.
Take a bite.
You know what I'm talking about, man?
Yeah, I figured it out. So there was the Valley of Dry Bones from the book of Ezekiel.
Valley of Dry Bread.
Yeah. The Valley of Dry Loaves.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So anyway, before Ezekiel, the bones connected in human figures. Then the bones became covered with tendon, flesh, skin. Then God reveals the bones to the prophet as the people of Israel in exile, and commands the prophet to carry another prophecy in order to revitalize these human figures, to resurrect them, and to bring them to the land of Israel.
Wow.
Really intense stuff. And as much as like this is imagery that's from the Bible, it made me think of the movie Hellraiser, which is like known for pretty revolutionary special effects of a human skeleton suddenly growing tendons and muscle.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's like especially gory. Hellraiser is supposed to be one of the like most gory horror films of all time ever.
Yeah.
And this segment of the Bible made me think of that. But also the Valley of Dry Bones. Dry Bones is the name of a character from Mario games.
Oh,
he's a little Koopa man. You know, like the turtles you stomp on?
So he's like a little skeleton turtle guy? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that was his name.
Yeah, so the Valley of Dry Bones. Dry Bones.
Yeah.
I know that guy. Plays with Mario Kart all the time.
Wow, we've got really a lot of familiarity with the story of skeletons.
Yeah, exactly. Really diminishing what's meant to be important about the Bible.
Yeah.
There is, then I loved this. There's a Grimm's fairy tale called The Boy Who Wanted the Willies.
Okay. Uh-oh. Go ahead.
It's about a kid. He's a real...
He wanted the scared willies, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
he wants the chills.
He's a real sick freak, this kid.
Really?
Basically, he's
real thrillmonger.
He's incapable of feeling fear, and he spends his entire life chasing it.
That sounds dark. That's definitely one of those grim fairy tales where you're like,
oh. And this is even darker because it's like there are people that are like they're describing a psychopath.
Yeah.
Is what's going on. It's like I can't get any thrills.
Yeah.
Totally. No chills, no spills.
Yeah. Nothing upsets me. Yeah.
Exactly. And so this was a segment of it because the reason that this was linked from the Spooky Skeletons article is because part of the story is he dances around a fire with skeletons.
Does that scare him?
Well, here we go. The clock struck 2. Bong, bong. Hans heard a rattling, and into the hall marched a long line of skeletons. The first skeleton snapped its fingers. Click, click. The second skeleton knocked its knees. Clack, clack. The third skeleton drummed its skull. Clock, clock. The fourth skeleton tapped along its ribs in a little tune. Clackety click clock, clackety click clock. Nice beat.
Oh my
Hans.
God. Hans really needs to.
Nice beat.
I don't even know what he needs to do. Hans is intense.
He's dancing, singing skeletons?
Yeah.
Nice beat.
That's probably where those cartoons came from, of the dancing skeletons.
Maybe you're
inspired by Hans.
You know what? You may be right.
Hans and his nice beat.
But everybody look it up. The story ends with Hans's wife dumping a bucket of freezing water on him in the middle of the night. And he got somebody who goes, now that's the shiver. Now finally I'm shivering, but I still don't know fear.
Oh my God.
And it ends. So essentially the story doesn't really end. And Hans
kills his wife.
I don't know. Maybe he's still chasing.
Trying to experience some sort of shiver of fear.
Yeah, he's still chasing
Perhaps
those willies.
Being caught.
Again, that is the boy who wanted the willies.
Wanted the willies. That's great.
And it's a real hell of a thing.
Yeah.
And lastly, I think a big part of where spooky skeletons come from is that there were some of the earliest special effects. They used stop motion to make people fight. Like sword and sandals type movies. To have sword fights with skeletons through stop motion animation.
Yeah.
In movies like The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad in 1958 and Jason and the Argonauts in 1963.
I can picture that.
Yeah. Which is like frequently referenced in movies. Evil Dead 3 Army of Darkness.
Yeah. Of course. A
lot of video games where you fight skeletons and stuff like that. The original Legend of Zelda. You fight a bunch of skeletons and stuff.
Cool.
So yeah, there you go.
Sweet.
Spooky skeletons, little bite size. Gobble it up.
That's the story of skeletons.
That's the story of the skeleton.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well, William, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and take her away and do the first story.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I say that we do that then.
Keeping you on thine own toes.
Fair enough. I will continue my book report.
Great, please.
We're going to continue with monsters from mythology to some degree.
Okay.
I consider the skeleton thing to also be something that's used in fantasy storytelling, like Lord of the Rings type stuff, Dungeons and Dragons. And so keeping in that mode, Kristen, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody at home what you know about dragons?
Ooh, scaled beasts. They fly, they have wings, breathe fire frequently, kind of a fantasy mythological creature. What else do I know? That's pretty much all I know.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're pretty much right.
Yeah.
The weird thing is the modern idea of the dragon, the sort of like giant lizard with wings clomping around on 4 feet, big claws, breathes fire. That is not
where they started.
No, not at all. Like that was almost introduced relatively recently. Which is strange, and I'm still talking about like 500, 600, 700 years ago.
Right, but like relative to how long we've been talking about dragons, it's like later.
Yes, because everybody's been talking about dragons forever. I
can't stop talking about dragons.
I know, who can? We've got documentation about dragon storytelling and stuff.
Yeah.
Going all the way back to 2000 BC.
Wow. That's old.
Yes. That's like on the other side of C from us.
Damn.
So most of the original dragons were actually just giant snakes. The word dragon comes from the Latin draconem.
That's badass.
Which means huge serpent.
Cool.
So for much of what I'm going to talk about here for the first half, it's literally going to be like if you picture a big anaconda.
Okay. It's a serpentine journey.
Yes, exactly. Now, this is one of those things where you can, I feel like, inflate the idea of the dragon to be like, well, maybe they are really real. Because evidence shows that imagery and storytelling about dragons has popped up all around the globe. Different societies,
I love it when that's a thing. Like, what the hell's going on?
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
And it's just like everybody had the same idea everywhere.
Right.
Convergent evolution.
Yeah.
You know, like we all just agree, like, even when you meet different cultures and you have to learn a shared language or something to be able to communicate, at a certain point you'd be like, do you know about dragons too?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh my God, we have dragons. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so cool. That's so funny.
Crazy.
And so a lot of people have tried to study the phenomenon of dragons appearing in like every, continent on the planet.
Yeah.
In 2000, there was a book called An Instinct for Dragons, written by an anthropologist named David E. Jones, where he basically suggests that within humans, there is an instinct to fear certain things. Basically, any predators that would have killed our human ancestors. Huh. So stuff like big cats.
Yeah.
We're all afraid of lions.
Yeah. Now when they hug you.
Sure.
Love that video.
I don't know. I'd still be afraid, I think.
I'd be afraid too.
Yeah. Birds of prey. And snakes.
Yeah. I hate snakes.
I hate scared to death of them.
They're so freaky.
Yeah. That's just my pet snake, Reggie.
Is that from Indiana Jones or something?
Yeah. And then
I don't like how fast they can move.
He goes, I hate snakes, Jacques. I hate them. And then there's a really awkward shot of the pilot of the airplane going, oh, show a little backbone, would ya? And his voice doesn't match what his mouth is doing. That's what happens in like the beginning of the first Indiana Jones movie. Really uncomfortable comedy.
Hey, I eat potatoes.
Evidently, a fear of snakes is especially prominent in children, which is interesting. And Wikipedia made a point of saying even in regions where snakes are not common.
Yeah.
To which I say,
yeah,
that's a good reason to be afraid of snakes.
Yes.
If you live in a place where you've never seen a snake.
Right. Of course you're going to be afraid of them. Then you're aware that they exist probably, right? Is that their point? That like...
No, I think like the idea is like, well, how would you instinctively fear it if you've never seen it before? But my thing is like, if something comes slithering past me that I can't figure out what the hell that thing is.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I'm going to lose my lunch.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. No, thank you. Barf. There was also an awkward statistic that 390 out of every 1,000 people are afraid of snakes.
Wow. Boy.
Say about a third of all people then.
Let that one sink in. Don't
say 390 out of 1,000.
Weird.
It's very, very bizarre.
Maybe I just wanted to be very specific.
It's not even like, like 390 over 1,000. You can reduce that fraction more and more.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean?
Yeah, somebody just took that poll and left it.
100%. Lazy.
They're probably tired from asking 1,000 people whether they're afraid of snakes or not. Exactly. They're just like, I'm over this.
Yes. I bet they only got to 500 too, by the way.
Maybe just doubled it. Yeah. I respect that.
Yeah. So the idea kind of blew my mind a little bit. I think about it periodically. You think about if you have pets out there, people listening, if you have birds, cats, doggies, you watch them use their instincts all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll stare at Molly, the dog, and I'll just be like blown away by things that she seems to know that she never really was taught.
Yeah.
You know?
It's very weird.
Like, there's that whole thing about dogs evidently sense the magnetic polarity in the air or something to find places to go to the bathroom outside and stuff. And it's
really?
Yeah, something like that. And it's just like, what are you tapped into?
I thought it was just a smell thing. And they just like, I don't even know what.
Something like that. Yeah. Huh. But like just all these little things that dogs do.
Yeah.
They all seem to understand. And it's like, well, yeah, they're using their instincts.
Right.
But you never really consider what that means for humanity.
Yeah. The idea of instincts are crazy to me.
Yeah. Like
sucking your thumb.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like sucking your thumb. Like all the steps that like, infants do.
Yeah. The Babinski.
Yeah. Run your finger along
I hate that.
A baby's foot.
You used to do that to me, like when we lived at home together. You just walk by me and do a Babinski. I hate it so much.
Yeah, run your thumb up the underside of someone's foot.
They'll freak out.
It sends like a jolt of electricity.
Yes,
through your
terrible.
Body. So like, I think is that the one with babies where when you do that, they like fling their arms out to the side and then tuck them in.
I don't remember what it is they do. Yeah, but they react in a uniform way.
Yeah, in a predictable manner. And I don't know. It's hard to imagine because we're such conscious, we think of ourselves as being especially conscious of our own behavior.
Yeah.
But the idea that we might be doing things based on a long line inherited through ancestors is really kind of tricky. And so are we afraid of snakes because they're scary? Do we find them scary because that's how all of our ancestors survived?
Yeah, they had to find them scary.
Yeah, everybody listening to this right now, you
as an ancestor who was killed by a snake.
You exist because of like millennia of people that successfully passed on their DNA.
Right.
So they all lived to be old enough to have kids. And part of the way they did that was by not getting killed by snakes.
By avoiding snakes.
Right?
Yes.
So to some extent, we've all inherited the avoid snakes gene.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Very strange.
Yeah, instincts and subconscious are both really insane to me.
It's hard to understand. I think that's also partly why it was so much fun to watch people like Steve Irwin, you know, the crocodile hunter. Fearless. And doing things that are like, this is so silly.
It's counter to everything natural.
Yes. So Bobby,
you're not supposed to do that stuff.
Yeah. Bobby and we took an anthropology class and we had to watch, as part of it, a video about chimpanzees. So chimp like society.
Yeah.
And there was the leader of their pack or whatever. He had basically a mischievous brother.
Ooh.
He was Bill Clinton. He had a Roger Clinton. That was just kind of being weird and doing weird stuff.
Yeah.
And so
Bill Clinton was doing some weird stuff too.
That's true. They ended up having a battle for the throne. And what they did was they tried to prove their strength to each other by pulling on tree branches real hard. And like pushing rocks over.
Oh, man.
And stomping their feet in a creek. Because
honestly,
those are things that chimpanzees don't like doing. They don't like getting their feet wet. And it's
that's really funny.
It's if you boil it down to the essentials like that, like I'm afraid of snakes. So looking at someone hold a snake is like a thrill.
Yeah.
It's like a thrill. It's like 5 roller coasters. That's amazing. How are you overriding every instinct?
Yeah, all of your instincts. Yeah. Somebody came up to me once in the city in New York and put a snake on my shoulders outside a bar to try to get me to it's like a thing. Like it was like a big python-y snake or whatever. And they just put it on me because they wanted me to want them to take a picture of me with it for them to sell to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what I say? Free snake.
Yeah.
You start running away.
I was just like, no. I mean, it was probably like 15 years ago or something.
I think there was one of those, like in preschool or whatever, so they brought in a snake and there was like a picture of me like with my hand on it, like blown away. Can you believe I'm touching this thing? I should be dead. I should have died this time.
Yeah, I kind of remember having a snake in school and seeing like the snake skin and stuff.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. And so that was one book, the idea of the subconscious. There's another book released the same year, which made me think that these two people were competing for dragon knowledge.
Yeah, were they did they live close to each other at all?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But this one was called The First Fossil Hunters, Dinosaurs, Mammoths, and Myth in Greek and Roman times.
Yeah.
In this one, folklorist Adrian Mayer basically said something that feels very logical, that the myth about dragons may have risen because of fossils. People found fossils of dinosaurs, gigantic lizard-like beings, gargantuan in size, with no ability to understand what the hell they were. Basically, they exaggerated.
Oh, you know? Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So it's that in conjunction with exaggeration about living reptiles like Komodo dragons, Gila monsters, alligators, stuff like that.
Yeah. Just bumping them up a notch, really.
Yeah.
Because they're already freaky. They already look like they shouldn't exist. So what's the big deal about just making them like... Well, I guess breathing fire and stuff didn't come until later, but yeah, you could punch that up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Make it a little more exciting.
Yeah.
So like I said, there's stories about dragons that came from all over the planet, in different cultures in ancient Mesopotamia.
Yeah.
They were, said to have the 4 parts, like the front legs and front face and stuff of a lion, hind legs, tail, and wings of a bird.
Oh, wow. Is there a creature that's named that or anything? Maybe I've just seen that before in some like weird art or something.
Probably. It feels kind of almost like a reverse griffin from Harry Potter a little bit.
Yeah, kind of.
You know?
Yep.
But evidently there was also a creature like that called Tiamat.
Okay.
Which is from some of the Ghostbusters comics. It was Gozer's sister.
Ooh, nice.
Something like that.
Right on.
Anyway, in ancient Egypt, there was a legendary giant snake called Apep. Apep lived in the underworld, and when there were thunderstorms and rain and stuff, people said that it was because Apep was roaring.
I love that. I love like gods bowling.
Yep.
Are angels crying rain? Is that a thing?
Without a doubt.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
Maybe I don't like that as much. It's really sad.
God,
but
the angels have been upset lately. It's really coming
but
down.
God bowling as an explanation for thunder is fun. So I like that a pep is roaring.
A pep, yeah.
Plus a pep is a great name.
A pep is a great name.
Yeah.
Also, solar eclipses were caused by a pep attacking the sun god.
Ooh, nice. Man, a pep's pretty spicy.
Yeah, for sure. Also, the Ouroboros.
Yes.
Which is more of an image than a real story, at least from what I understood. It's a dragon eating its own tail.
Yeah.
So it's a ring. And every depiction of it I've seen is almost like a perfect circle of a serpent devouring its own tail.
Yeah, which is sweet.
In Greek mythology, you've got the Hydra, many-headed Hydra.
For that.
And Cadmus was a dragon. Or no, Cadmus fought a dragon. Cadmus was a traveler. And he was attacked by, he and his men were attacked by a dragon.
Yeah.
And
did he dispatch it?
He did. He fought the dragon. You can see more about Cadmus in Hunt a Killer. Just for the record.
Oh.
You can.
Oh.
You can. In Norse mythology, there's the world serpent.
Uh-huh.
This is a snake that is supposed to like wrap all the way around the globe.
That's cool.
Basically.
Yeah.
Around Midgard.
Cool and unnerving.
Oh, for sure. Its name is Jormungandr.
Oh.
Which is very hard to say.
Jurgensblurger.
And in the most recent God of War game, you are in Norse mythology and you pilot a boat around a little area and the world snake is wrapped around the area that you can visit.
Yeah.
And you can wake it up and it like basically like cranes its neck in the sky and very slowly turns to look at you. And
hard pass.
I say this as a grown man who was sitting in the comfort of his living room playing this.
You cried?
It gave me chills and I started crying and screaming. No, it was really freaky and intimidating.
No, that sounds freaky in a dark living room on a big TV, something turning to face you that's like scary and looking you in the eyes, essentially.
It kind of did kick in that instinct of like, ooh, this is not good.
Don't like this.
This is not good. Like this thing wouldn't even know it was eating you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like you would fit between its teeth almost.
You're insignificant.
Yes. All right. Medieval Western Europe. This is where the real stuff kicks in
like
gear.
dragons that we think of kind of kick in here.
Yes.
That sounds right, because dragons on castles and stuff, right?
100%. So yeah, prior to this, mostly snakes. Bam. Medieval times in Europe. Dragon City.
Boy, those dragons evolved.
So the height of dragon madness was the 11th and 13th centuries, basically right in there. And the earliest known image of what we would consider a modern dragon comes from the bestiary.
Sweet.
MS Harley 3244.
Of course. What the hell is that?
Great name. I don't know. But it's like a red dragon.
Is that a book?
A bestiary, yeah. A book of beasts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it comes from 1260 AD. And so it is finally, now we have the image of like basically a gigantic lizard type thing with little wings on its back.
Yeah.
And a long tail. Very, very cool. One of the things I did not know about dragons that evidently was part of this original mythology in medieval times was how to combat them.
Oh, what do you do?
It wasn't just stuff like catapults and swords and stuff.
Yeah.
Making the sign of the cross.
Oh, man.
If you made the sign of the cross, the dragon might go away.
That's
if you
awesome.
got eaten
Yeah.
by a dragon.
Make the sign of the cross in there,
and it'll spit
throw you up. Oh my God. That's awesome.
That is how you can be saved.
Boy, that's kind of easy in a way.
Isn't it?
You know, like,
just do it. Even if you don't believe.
Yeah.
Just be like, oh, I got to get out of this dragon.
So you just do a quickie and you get out of there. You don't have to fight. It's like not really that physical.
I am out of here.
I'm surprised that there's so many like epic battles against dragons and stuff like that. Maybe that's why they were like, this is such an exciting creature. All we have to do is like move our arm up and down in a specific motion.
Yeah.
Let's make it that we have to fight him with a sword. Yeah.
Yeah. People are going
to know. It's like a bigger deal.
I know this story ends already.
Yeah.
It's about a dragon. I know how you
make the cross.
People in theater.
Let's go home. Yeah.
There were also stories about dragons that are almost like muscling in on territory, which is weird.
Okay. So, on other dragons' territory or humans?
Humans' territory. Yeah. So they would like show up and gobble up people until the people started to offer sheep.
Oh.
Like, all right, I'll eat these sheep.
All right.
I'll leave the rest of you alone.
I'm sated for now.
Sacrifice a couple sheep a day.
Yeah.
Whatever. I won't eat the people.
Yeah.
Good enough for me. But what happens when you run out of sheep?
That seems like a temporary solution to a permanent problem.
Oh, Kristen, it is. When you run out of sheep,
you go to sheeple.
The children.
Oh my God. You don't sacrifice yourself. You offer the children?
Offer the children.
Bunch of a-holes.
You always make more of those.
It's true, I guess. Yeah, especially back then.
Yeah.
They're like going to town.
And I would have said like, what about the elders to protect future generations or something? Yeah. But people probably died at like 29.
That's true. The elders were probably 30 something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was us.
Yeah.
We were the old ones.
I certainly feel that way sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. And then there was this kind of wacky story. So I'm going to tell you a little tale.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
One day, the king's own daughter came up in the lottery, meaning to be sacrificed to the dragon. And despite the king's pleas for her life, she was dressed as a bride and chained to a rock beside the lake to be eaten.
Okay.
I don't know why you do that.
Why?
I don't know. The dragons can be attracted to
people? She's so beautiful. Never mind.
Or thank you for gussying up my din-din.
I guess so. It's just like adding a garnish. Like when you go to the diner and there's like a piece of orange on a weird piece of lettuce.
Yeah. Or
it's such a weird garnish.
Yeah. Or when you go to a pizza place and they put a little top hat on every slice.
Yeah, like that.
Kind of make it look nice.
Right.
Yeah. Then St. George arrived and saw the princess. When the dragon arrived to eat her, he stabbed it with his lance and subdued it by making the sign of the cross and tying the princess's girdle around its neck.
Oh my God.
Use my girdle.
I'm glad that she got to get out of that girdle, but why didn't you just do the sign of the cross first?
Hurry, use my girdle.
Please, get it off me. Any excuse to get this goddamn thing off me. Take my girdle.
That's true. Can you unlace me?
Yeah. It probably took a long time, though.
Yeah, stay put, dragon.
They didn't have Spanx.
St. George and the princess led the now docile dragon into the town, and George promised to kill it if the townspeople would convert to Christianity.
Oh my God. Okay.
Are these the good old days? This is part of it, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is what we were missing.
All the townspeople converted, and St. George killed the dragon with his sword. In some versions, St. George marries the princess, but in others, he continues wandering.
I'm surprised that there are any versions where he doesn't marry the princess. That's seems
strange.
like a done deal.
All right, I'm 95,000.
Yeah,
Sick bros. I'll see you at Sunday school.
I guess he's like a wandering dragon slayer / Christianity pusher.
Yeah. I slayed the dragon. I'm going to slay these waves. I'll see you later. All right. Peace out. All right. That's the whatever. Then there's
not whatever.
Then there's the dragon.
I love a surfer, bro.
The dragon culture in China. That is very interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of Chinese customs revolve around dragons, but now they're primarily for entertainment. Yeah. It's there used to be stuff where it was the word for dragon in Chinese is evidently potentially onomatopoetic.
Oh, cool.
For the sound of thunder. So if you're saying you heard thunder, you'd be saying the same thing as being I heard a dragon.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. Yeah.
And it's, if I'm saying this right, it's long.
Cool.
Like L-O-N-G.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really
kind
of cool. I love
an onomatopoeia.
Nature.
What a crazy thing.
I know. It really is. Taking something from nature and creating a story around it. It makes it so much easier to digest, to pass on to the next generation and stuff.
Yeah, because nature, God willing, is a constant. These things are still going to be ongoing. So you're never going to not have a reference point for it.
Yeah, exactly. And you've probably seen those when they do the sort of dragon dance where they have the big dragon face and then a bunch of people stand under a cloth and they dance in the streets and stuff.
Yeah, Ryan and I saw that in Portland. We were there during a time where they were celebrating, I think, the Chinese New Year or something at this cool Chinese garden. And so they had lanterns and stuff. They had a huge lantern that was a giant dragon, and they did that sweet dragon dance.
Yeah, we used to do it. I used to work for an education company.
You used to do the dragon dance?
Yes.
What?
Yes. I used to work for an education company. We taught English to speakers of other languages.
Yeah.
And around Chinese New Year, we had one of those dragons, and we would dance in the aisles between desks.
Really?
They actually stopped doing it shortly after they hired me.
Wait a second.
It happened the first year I was there, and they were like, we do this every year. And then I never saw it again.
Was there music? I want to set the scene a little bit. I've seen that office. You're just walking between cubicles. Were you guys all blissfully happy?
Absolute silence.
Because I picture being really really funny. Just being like joyful and holding a stick that has like a part of a dragon on it.
Kristen, this was meant to bring good weather and a strong harvest. First person to smile gets fired.
How earnest was this?
It was like Ernest Goes to Jail serious.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. No, it was for fun. It was like we'd like put on music and try to annoy other departments, basically.
Okay, I get that. I mean? I got you now. It just sounds like such wholesome fun for a department to do together, just to enjoy together.
It was wholesome fun.
It is wholesome fun, but it's really funny to me that you guys were like, it's time, just all of us.
Good, clean, wholesome fun? Got a problem with that? Is your heart so cold?
It's funny. For your own benefit of just enjoying the dance together. It's funny to me.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. We'd impress each other. I'd practice dancing all year for this one day. Anyway, as I said, that usually would have originally been to bring good weather and a strong harvest, but now it's mostly done for entertainment. Yeah. Which I also really like. Keeping the tradition alive, but letting it evolve and just being like, hey, guess what? We do this now.
It's sweet anyway.
It's fun and it's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
And the final thing that I have to tell you about dragons, of course, is behold, there was a great red dragon. Ah, yes. The first book of the Hannibal Lecter series is called Red Dragon. That's right. It focuses on a serial killer whose name is Francis Dollarhide. He's obsessed with William Blake's painting of the Great Dragon. I did a little bit of research into this. William Blake was commissioned to paint hundreds of pieces inspired by the Bible in the early 1800s. And he did a series of paintings of the Red Dragon. Oh, so there was the Red Dragon and the woman. So
Francis only ate one.
Yeah, yes, correct. There was the Great Red Dragon and the woman clothed in the sun, the Great Red Dragon and the woman clothed with the sun. Okay. Very nearly the same thing.
Maybe it's they each have one arm in a bathrobe. Yeah. You know what I mean? So they're clothed together. Getting ready. So they're both wearing the same bathrobe. Put
them side by side. Yeah. And then there was one that was the beast's number is 666. Sweet. So there's a series of these paintings. They're really, really cool looking if you want to look them up. Yeah. But yeah, that was one of the major centerpieces of the original Hannibal Lecter story.
Yeah, he has the red dragon tattooed on the whole backside of his body, basically.
That's true.
He flexes it for Philip Seymour Hoffman in the movie.
Oh, does he?
It's so good. That part is so weird. He drops his robe. That's probably why I thought of that. And he's naked, and he's just flexing his back muscles to make the dragon stuff look freaky. He peeks behind himself, yeah, are you looking?
Do you see?
So weird.
Yeah, it is.
Do you see?
A cheeky little glance as Philip Seymour Hoffman looks at his cheek.
Yeah, while he's glued to a wheelchair.
Yeah, I have no choice but to
literally. See. Yeah, no, I have to.
Oh, I see.
I think he's just kind of he has a funny
oh, what a scary
funny but horrible yell.
And there's in the book, the way they describe it is that character Freddie Lyons is going well, he hasn't let me see his face yet, so he might let me go. I know. Because if I saw his face, he'd have to kill me, but he hasn't let me see his face yet, which means I might live through this. And then he opens his eyes and Francis Dollarhide's looking, is oh no, listen, oh man.
I closed him real quick. I didn't see anything.
Yeah, it was just a little peek. I don't know. What do I do now? What am I to do?
The book and movie are so good.
Ah, so good. And then in Hannibal, the TV series, I'm just going to go ahead and spoil it because it was canceled a few years ago. Who knows if it's going to come back, whatever.
I feel it might eventually just randomly.
I hope
not anytime soon, but I have a feeling something will happen.
I really enjoyed it.
And I loved it. I actually kind of want to rewatch it. I've been watching Law & Order SVU, and right now the guy who plays Chilton in Hamilton. In
Hamilton Lecter.
Yeah.
Here, keep going for a second. I'm going to grab something from back there.
Okay. Yeah. In Hannibal plays the DA, Rafael Barba, and he hasn't been in the last few episodes, and I realized timeline-wise, I think that he was shooting Hamilton. Why am I saying that? Hannibal. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. In Hamilton, there's a line that goes, King George is going he's going to send a battalion of troops or whatever, and he says, it's funny, it's kind of a joke, a wry joke. He goes,
but I'm going to crack up.
To remind you of my love, ba-da-da-da-da. So it's King George is forcing his soldiers onto America to remind you of his power.
To remind me of my love?
To remind you of my love. To remind you that I'm not going to let you go.
Okay.
At least that's my understanding. I've not seen Hamilton. And
it's him talking to America?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha,
he's like singing
gotcha.
to America.
Gotcha.
But weirdly enough, that was kind of ripped off.
Yeah.
Because in Hannibal, he's eating a guy and he goes, to remind you of my lunch. Ba-da-da-da-da.
Wow.
That definitely really happened.
You have to have a pretty intimate knowledge of both of those things, I think, to be able to tell that joke and then be able to understand it.
No, I told it perfect. So everyone out there is still laughing.
That's what I'm saying. The fact that you could construct that joke means that you must know those things pretty well.
True. We should probably pause for everyone's laughter so that they can calm down to be able to hear the next thing. The real last thing that I'm going to tell and show you is Mom just gave me this to hang up in the basement down here. Our grandmother, our mom's mom, what is this called? What's the style called again?
Crewel work.
Crewel work.
Yeah.
Our
Crewel.
Yes. Our grandmother was very talented and she made numerous pieces for both Kristen and myself and our parents. And this is a piece that I'll be putting down in the basement here. And it is, if you're watching the video version, crewel work of a dragon standing on treetops.
Do you think they're treetops?
Yeah, I thought so. This like pink here because there are clouds above.
True.
You know, I always thought.
I never really thought about it before. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That at least was my interpretation.
Could be. Could be.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. We always had a lot of these sort of pieces in the house.
Yeah, I love them.
I still need to find a really good suitable place down here. Yeah. Home studio for it.
It's so cool.
But yeah, I like it a lot. A little dragon that's been staring us in the face our entire lives.
Yeah, I love it.
So there you have it, everybody.
Good
the story of the dragon.
The dragon.
The dragon.
Sweet. Well, William, I'm going to bring us some intergalactic dragon slayers, I guess you could say, in a way.
I can't wait to see if this is a good transition or a terrible one.
The Men in Black.
Okay. Take it.
Not bad.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hold on. Were we singing the Men in Black theme song before we started the show tonight?
Yes, we were.
Did you start that or did I?
I did.
Really?
That was my little secret Easter egg to you.
Were you intentionally singing?
I was a sick junko.
Yeah. Did you
the whole while I was smiling inside. He's like, he doesn't even know why I'm singing this song. He's going to find out, isn't he?
This rube has no idea what's in store. That's funny.
I know.
Huh. You didn't do that accidentally and then realize, like, oh, I'm letting it slip? Because I've done that before.
I did on purpose.
I've done that before where my topic is something, stupid. Like, my topic was Jason Voorhees or something, and I'm going like, get him, Jason. Get him. I'm like, oh, she's going to know what I'm doing now. Why am I doing that?
No, I did it on purpose because I thought it was funny.
Wow. Good Easter egg.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I listened to the song on the way here, so it was my brain.
Get yourself pumped up?
Yes.
Did you listen to the Pitbull one from the third movie?
No, I only listened to the original. We live so close to each other, it ended right when I pulled up.
So you drive around the block a few times. You got to get it all in.
Now freeze. Okay. So
that's when you're at a red light.
Yeah. No, that's when I pulled up and parked.
Yeah.
So, William, something that I find interesting about the Men in Black is that there's the traditional, I guess we'll call it, interpretation with Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith, where the Men in Black are people who come in to kind of debrief you and try to get you to not talk about an alien encounter or something like that.
Yeah, erase your memory. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Like government stooges who are flying in to do something to you. I've been actually sitting on this topic for a long time, which I'll tell you in a second, but then I thought to do it now because when I watched American Horror Story last week, there's a 2-second Men in Black thing in it, basically. And I was like, oh yeah, I've been thinking about doing Men in Black.
Cool.
So the thing is, in American Horror Story, they were having them be real life government people. But the other idea of Men in Black, which seems like it's actually the first version of what Men in Black are, was actually that they themselves are aliens. Oh. So either extraterrestrials or ultra-terrestrials, where they might be something from a different universe or from a different dimension, basically.
I don't think I've ever heard.
I know. I hadn't either. It's pretty sweet. Huh. So there's a theory about ultra-terrestrials where everything that we think are kind of mythological, so fairies and probably dragons, things like that those are real things that are just from a different dimension. You would call those ultra-terrestrials.
If I can guide everyone's attention to something that is starting up right now that not many people know about, There's a guy named Sargel 18. This is not his real name.
Yes.
He believes that he came out of the Philadelphia experiments where they were trying to breed like I
don't really know about that.
Alien human hybrid or something like that.
Okay.
I'm getting a lot of this wrong. Anyway, he calls himself a sergeant of light. He's a warrior for good.
Okay.
He's the 18th of these beings. I first heard about him on the podcast Tell Him Steve Dave, where they did a short-lived series called Overkill, which focused exclusively on the paranormal.
Yeah.
They interviewed him on the show, and he was talking about how he discovered a portal in New Jersey where you can see beings there like a brontosaurus.
Was it by any chance, does this ring a bell? Was it at a rock called Tripod Rock?
It wasn't. It was in Wanakee.
It was in it wasn't. Oh no, okay.
Not as far as I know. I mean, maybe this is the same thing, but he keeps saying it's in Wanakee, New Jersey. I think.
Okay, I don't remember where Tripod Rock is, but I know that's supposed to be a vortex in New Jersay.
Okay, possibly because he's
story
talking
for another day, folks.
He is talking about the vortex.
Yeah.
So he says that you can see the devil there, you can see aliens, and the way he described them as they are beings from another reality. So sometimes the way he describes it, he makes it sound like it's a dinosaur seeing you through time.
Yeah.
Sometimes he makes it sound like the Mothman is coming from like Earth, 22, another version of our reality, something like that.
Right.
Anyway.
The Mothman would be an ultra-terrestrial as well.
Okay.
Comes into this.
Because he has said that. So I first heard about him on Tell Him Steve Dave. He did a couple of appearances. They were all very fun. He has a good sense of humor.
Yeah, I remember it was a long time ago, but I remember listening to it and I liked it.
I've listened to his interview probably like 10 times. I'm also just a big Tell Him Steve Dave fan. But,
yeah.
So,
but
what can you do? So Sargel 18, I started following him on Facebook, and literally within the last week.
Oh yeah, I was here when you pulled it up. Yeah.
Within the last week or so, he started putting out new videos. So he's put out probably about 10 right now, talking about his history, what the beings are, the people who've tried to stop him from sharing this information with the world. So everybody out there, go look up Sargel 18.
Yeah, I'm going to now.
Because essentially right now, there is somebody who, and I only say these things because, you never know the real truth behind something. So I will say there is a person out there who claims that he has had encounters with aliens, extraterrestrials, monsters, demons, ghosts. He says that he is the person who discovered orbs.
Okay.
He says he's the person who gave orbs to the world.
Okay.
So everybody can go watch new information coming out of this man on YouTube.
All right, sweet.
So look him up. Sorry to derail you.
I'm definitely going to look. No, that ties in perfectly.
His videos get about
on multiple levels.
His videos are getting like in the low hundreds. On YouTube.
Let's give him a little boost.
And I feel like this is the kind of thing that someday somebody's going to go like, hey, can everyone guide their attention to this guy over here?
Who's been making videos for a long time that nobody's talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've been watching very quietly.
Yeah.
I have. But everybody out there, go take a look. Sargel 18.
I'm totally going to look now. Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, no, seriously, that ties in perfectly to multiple aspects of this story, basically. So when I first heard about the idea of Men in Black being not just like the government people shutting it down or whatever, was when I was researching the Mothman for episode 3. I came across this story about Indrid Cold, hell of a name, who's an alien. What, have you heard of this before?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Okay.
Keep going. Sorry.
Okay. And then you'll figure it out or whatever. So this thing happened in West Virginia, in 1966, I believe it was, which is where the Mothman thing happened. So it'll tie in a minute. So there was a traveling salesman whose name was Woodrow Derenberger, which is a name and a half.
Oh, it is.
And he was driving and he noticed something weird driving behind him. This kind of a car, but sort of like an objecty craft thing. And it ended up coming around and cutting him off, like coming in front of him. So he had to stop his car. And this guy came out of the vehicle, I guess you would say. And as he's walking toward Mr. Derenberger's car, his vehicle shoots up into the air about 40 feet. It was just like hovering.
Whoa.
So it was this guy with slicked black dark hair wearing like a shiny black suit, and his mouth was just frozen in a grin, like a creepy grin.
Ugh.
And so I'm going to say Woodrow because it has fewer syllables. Let's go with that. So Woodrow, it's easier to say, said that the guy came to his car and he told him telepathically, so this man, Woodrow heard him saying in his own head, told him not to be afraid and that he wasn't going to harm him, And he asked him to roll down the window and said that his name was Indrid Cold.
Okay.
So, apparently Woodrow felt like this was like kind of legit. Like he, was like, oh, all right. Like, I don't feel that scared, but he was weirded out. So Indrid Cold, said that he was interested in the city lights that were in the distance a little bit further. And he asked what they were. And Woodrow said that's a city. And so I guess the guy was like, what is city or whatever? Is that people go there to work.
What is city?
Yeah. So he's like, people go in there to work in different businesses or whatever. And so then Cold told him that they called cities gatherings where he comes from.
Okay.
And so Woodrow's like, oh, okay, interesting. So he asked if people live in the city, and Woodrow said that, like, some people do, but they mostly live in like small towns around it. And Cold nodded and said, it's been nice talking to you, Mr. Derenberger. We'll be seeing you again.
Oh.
And then he turned around, and same as like how the vehicle shot up while he's walking away, when he's walking back to his, like, where the vehicle would be, it starts lowering. So they almost like, I imagine this part, it's almost like they met in the middle. Like the vehicle had the perfect time for him to just be able to like smoothly walk into it, basically.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's sweet, right?
That's the kind of convenience that I'm looking for, by the way.
Oh, beyond.
Out of technology, right?
Completely. Self-driving is fine and everything,
but I want the car
like,
to appear when I'm ready to get into it.
When I'm chilly and I just want to get in there and get that air cranking, or alternately very hot, I need that air conditioning. If it could be ready to roll.
Yeah, you want to just start to sit down wherever you're standing and a chair appears beneath you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So a moment ago, I kind of stuttered for a second. And I was like, hey, hold on. Just keep going. What I was referring to is the fact that somebody messaged us in the last couple days, 1 day ago, as of this recording, and suggested to us the topic of Indrid Cold.
That's weird.
Yeah. So I was wondering.
Indrid.
You did Indrid.
Yeah.
You didn't see this message?
No.
Reggie, if you're listening, thank you for sending us this tip. I responded and said that we'd have to check it out. And here I am sitting with Kristen, who's telling me the story right now. Coincidentally.
That's weird. Reggie, thank you for telepathically sending this topic to me, not unlike Indrid Cold talking to Mr. Walgenberger or whatever the hell his name is.
Yeah. So the second you said the name, it very much surprised me. Is this one of those things where we talk about
That's so weird.
That like little voice that whispers in your ear an idea? Did the same voice whisper in Reggie's ear and yours?
Maybe. That is so strange.
There's not recent news about Indrid Cold, is there?
No.
I don't know.
That's so weird. Also,
we get a lot of great recommendations from listeners and viewers, so always feel free to send potential topics to gttupod@gmail.com or message us.
Absolutely. That's crazy. Also weird, not to harp on it too much or whatever. Like I wanted to do Men in Black, and I was like, what the hell was that story that I found with the Mothman? I was Googling all these different things like Men in Black, Mothman, all this stuff, and it didn't work. And I was about to give up, and then I was like, Cold. So I Googled Men in Black Cold, and I found the story.
Wow.
So it just like, I just remember the name Cold. This is so weird.
Yeah, that is very coincidental.
I like it.
Literally, I received this message yesterday at 5 p.m. It is today at 9 p.m.
That's bizarre.
A little over 24 hours ago.
I must have sensed it.
Very weird.
So that's a sweet ass story. Reggie was totally right to recommend it because I loved it and it made me want to look into Men in Black stuff further. So that happened. And then later that year in the same area in 66 is when the Mothman sightings started.
Wow.
So, some people think that maybe Indrid Cold was the Mothman.
I was gonna say.
Some people think that he was there to observe and look into the Mothman, like as kind of like an alien life form kind of thing that knew something was up and was like, let me check this out, maybe monitor it, manage it somehow or something. And nobody seems to think that he was a human man in black. Like everybody thinks this is like an extraterrestrial man in black.
Yeah.
So another extraterrestrial man in black situation that I thought was really cool, and there are a whole bunch of them, but another like story is that there was a guy, so years before that even happened. This happened in 1952, I believe it was. The Mothman thing with Indrid Cold that I just talked about happened in 66. There was a guy named Albert Bender in Bridgeport, Connecticut, who founded the thing called the International Flying Saucer Bureau, like right after there were a whole bunch of like flying saucer reports kind of in America in the West. And he like kind of like whipped it up and got it going for a time when there wasn't the internet or anything. There were 600 members. He had like a quarterly newspaper that he put out, and his house was like the hub of activity where they would have meetings and stuff. So it was obviously like local meetings of people who could come to it. But his house was the meeting point, and it sounds like it was a crazy house. He was the chief timekeeper at Acme Shear Company, which was the world's largest manufacturer of scissors. And this article, which is from the Bridgeport Library, you know I love a library website, said that perhaps it was his sense of humor, but in an ironic salute to his job, Bender filled his living space with an assortment of 20 chiming clocks. Every 15 minutes, half hour, and on the hour, his house resounded with the din of bells, bells, bells.
Wow.
But the cacophony of ticking timepieces and alarms were merely a small part of Bender's eccentricities. The timekeeper enjoyed his privacy living in the attic and its small connected den of his stepfather's 3-story home. At some point when Bender entered his late 20s, he adorned his realm with a collection of monstrosities, faux skulls, shrunken heads, and his own original outsider art. Should friends stop over, Albert made sure to complement the atmosphere with unnerving sound effects featuring thunder, sobbing, and hissing noises on his record player.
Sobbing?
Enamored with ghost stories and horror movies, the terror connoisseur claimed his blood flowed with ancestral witchcraft. Fittingly, Bender dubbed his attic room his Chamber of Horrors.
Wow.
The sobbing will do it, I would think.
I think the sobbing was him alone. That sounds like a lot.
This guy seemed like he had some stuff going on.
Now, I will say, I think we've made a mistake by not telling people that our lineage is that of a demon or whatever.
Oh, yeah, that we have ancestral witchcraft.
Yeah,
that's how I knew about the Indrid Cold thing.
Maybe. We should be saying stuff like that. I'm actually half ghost or something,
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
So he had this organization that had tons of people and everything, and he had a pretty active newsletter that came out quarterly. So it was like kind of a decently sized operation. So he started to feel like he was being watched. When he was out and about. He said that he was at the movies one time and he realized that a strange man with glowing red eyes was observing him at the movie theater. He felt like he was being shadowed when he was walking around in town. And he said that he was telepathically hypnotized and levitated one night. But the worst phenomenon, William, was the stench of sulfur filling his attic.
Oh, just the attic?
Well, that's like where he like lived. That was like his domain. That was like the Treehouse of Horrors or whatever the hell they called his house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess it didn't migrate down to the house yet.
Right.
It started in the attic.
Okay.
So he wanted to reach out to alien life telepathically. So this is actually very sweet. He formulated a plan that he put out in his newsletter where he asked everybody who gets the newsletter at a certain time to memorize and silently recite a letter that he had written to hopefully connect with alien life, like via like this simultaneous, every saying the same thing. Hopefully it'll like shoot something up into space.
Cool.
So what it was calling all occupants of interplanetary craft that have been observing our planet Earth. We of IFSB wish to make contact with you. We are your friends. And they would repeat it over and over again.
Wow.
So probably a bunch of people participated in it. And it seemed like it maybe had some results in Albert's life. So the sulfur smell spread to other rooms, and he said that he was telepathically
that doesn't sound good.
To stop digging around. He got messages that said, like, this is not your business. Like, stop probing into this, so to speak. Alien joke. You understand. Right. A yellow mist started to gather in the attic along with the sulfur smell. Sounds like trouble.
Yeah. Sounds familiar.
Not to me. He said that the next issue of Space Review, which was the name of the quarterly magazine, would have a startling revelation, but then that startling revelation never came. He doesn't die or anything. It's not as ominous as that. But he said that in July of 1953, he was visited at his home by 3 men, and I'm just reading this from the library website. Bender stated all of them were dressed in black clothes. They looked like clergymen, but wore hats similar to the Hamburg style. Who knows? Of course.
You mean Heisenberg's?
Yeah. That is a style of hat I recognize.
Yeah, a little Breaking Bad.
Yeah. The notorious Men in Black, always in threes, made it clear to Bender that he was to immediately halt all UFO work. They communicated telepathically. Stop publishing. Before departing, the MIB confiscated copies of Space Review, and in their wake, a yellow fog materialized in the upstairs rooms of the house. Again, the vile odor of sulfur wafted through the attic. Unnerved by their otherworldly presence, Albert shuddered that he was scared to death and was unable to eat for days. The 32-year-old timekeeper would be the recipient of repeated Men in Black visits.
Wow.
So after that, he was freaked out. So he eventually shut down his little company thing, and he moved to California, where he lived until he was 94. And he had a message when he shut down the company in the last issue of his quarterly thing. He said that the mystery of the flying saucers is no longer a mystery. The source is already known, but any information about this is being withheld by orders from a higher source. We would like to print the full story in Space Review, but because of the nature of the information, we've been advised in the negative.
Huh.
So,
Just one of those things.
So, because there's not really information about him after he moved. Like, he lived in Connecticut for a little bit while longer and then retired, at least from the saucer business, to California, lived a long life. So basically, was it paranoia born of being so super into this stuff that you really start to believe it, and you're seeing these things everywhere? You're seeing glowing red eyes, you're imagining somebody's trailing you or whatever. Was it kind of wishful thinking? Because it would be kind of exciting if this stuff was real that you're super duper into. So you actually, in a way, want to think that you're being trailed because it shows that you're onto something and you're not just dedicating your life to something that's not anything.
Right.
Or did all of his concentrated interest in the subject, plus the concentrated interest of other people who were into it, open up some sort of door?
Yeah.
Hard to say.
Painting a target on his back.
Yeah, essentially, basically. As far as alien instances of Men in Black, there are also a lot of really, really weird things of joke aliens who don't know how to function on Earth, basically, sightings. Okay. So, somebody said that somebody came to her door and that he was a Men in Black. His whole appearance situation was that, the black suit, the whole deal. His clothing appeared to be brand new. Even the soles of his shoes were clean and unscuffed. When the lady offered him some Jell-O, he tried to drink the Jell-O and acted as if he'd never seen it before. And then there was another one, Man in Black, who witnesses said that they didn't know how to use a knife and fork at a diner, and a waitress had to come over and show the man how to cut his steak. They didn't chew their food, they just kind of swallowed it. Many thought of them as mysterious beings of unknown origin, poorly pretending to be human.
Now, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And weird and funny.
Yeah.
But also, it just made me think about Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
In the third season of Twin Peaks, this is the premise. So, spoiler alert for the second season finale of Twin Peaks, which was beginning of 1990.
Yeah.
Whatever, the 90s.
Yeah.
And Dale Cooper, an FBI agent, gets sucked into what's called the Black Lodge, sort of a supernatural realm. The new season, which came out last year, shows what happens after 25 years being stuck in the lodge.
Yeah.
You get kicked out and you basically don't have your memory and you're all screwed up. So this guy, who was a really charming, charismatic FBI agent, comes out and he's unable to do basic stuff.
He's like a shell.
He doesn't know what elevators are.
You're right. Dougie would try to drink Jell-O.
Yes, exactly. He can't talk or anything.
Yeah.
And there are theories that Twin Peaks is about aliens, obviously. So that's kind of interesting, right?
Interesting. I also have a pet theory. Given that we're believing all of this kind of stuff is real, what if black-eyed kids, which we talked about in episode 2, grow up to become Men in Black?
Ooh, that's great.
Right? Isn't that good?
That's wonderful.
Yeah, because it's not as goofy as them being they don't know how to use a knife and fork or whatever, but they also are acting the way that humans don't act, talking in a really unnatural way and being really forceful and creepy. So what if they somehow evolve into, maybe they're not all as bumbling as that, but those are just baby extraterrestrial Men in Black.
Yeah, I love it.
Right?
I love it. Black-eyed children become Men in Black.
Yeah, totally.
That's great.
Yeah, it's sweet, right?
Yeah.
So listen to episode 2 if you want to hear more about that, because I love black-eyed kids.
Yeah,
stories.
for sure.
So last one I will leave you with story-wise, William, is a more traditional Men in Black story about agents coming to probably prevent somebody from spreading information about aliens or looking too far into it. I'm going to take you to talk to our friend Dan Aykroyd.
Oh my gosh.
So he was filming a show for the Sci-Fi Network called Out There, which ended up never airing for reasons I'll tell you in a second. The story is crazy. It's very short, but I was like, whoa.
For people who don't know, Dan Aykroyd genuinely believes in ghosts and aliens. To the point that, like, you would have thought that the man who came up with and wrote Ghostbusters would be taking a look at everything through, like, a lens of comedy all the time and with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Not the case.
Yeah.
His character in Ghostbusters is like saying a lot of stuff that he seems to actually believe.
Yeah, so I think he's a little bit of a mouthpiece for Dan Aykroyd, basically.
Yeah.
I bet he believes they're ultra-terrestrial. Like, I could see him thinking that those are all things from just, like, the same other dimension.
And he would say it all like this, really rapid fire. He'd be talking about all these free-roaming vapors, and these extraterrestrials who come down here. They're very upset with us, by the way. They did not like what we did. And anyway, when we go do this...
really good Dan Aykroyd.
He says everything so fast, takes no breaths. I think, it's my personal theory, that he admires it in people when they are able to rapidly get a bunch of stuff off their chest and throw out big words like it's nothing. So he does that.
Why do you think he's not just like that? Isn't just one of those people?
Well, you are what you do. You know what I mean? So, like, because he does it, he is like that.
Yeah.
But I think that it's sort of a persona that he tries to tap into a little bit to seem really serious about it.
It could. He definitely
I'm really
wants
not
to be
fooling
taken
around
seriously.
here. I'm going to be talking about the extraterrestrials, and by the way, they are real, and I don't think we'll be making contact. Not anytime soon.
You're going to have to keep up.
Yeah, exactly. Keep up with me.
Yeah. Because I got a lot going on.
Yes.
Yeah. So he had a show that would surely be rapid fire called Out There. That was going to be on the Sci-Fi Network. It was supposed to be 8 episodes, and he'd filmed some of them already. And he was in New York filming an interview with 2 guys who are like experts in the paranormal field. I can't remember their names right now. But they took a break for just whatever. They were taking a break. And he went outside to smoke a cigarette on the street. This is where the story got, just for 1 second, crazy in a different way. He says that he's smoking a cigarette. Britney Spears called him because she wanted to ask him if he'd be on a skit with her on Saturday Night Live. I was like, why do Britney Spears and Dan Aykroyd know each other? Like, why are they on a basis where he's like, so Britney Spears called me? Like, he didn't even seem weirded out, really. They were in the movie Crossroads together.
Oh.
Yes. She played, I think, his dad.
This sounds like an awesome movie. I'm going to have to check this out. Britney Spears played Dan Aykroyd's dad in the movie Crossroads. This sounds awesome.
It does sound awesome.
Hello, father.
She has to do his affect because she's like, well, his is so strong.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to be able to bring it down. I just have to bring it up. So it seems like you learned it from me. Yeah. It's amazing. Well, so he said that Britney Spears called because she wanted him to be on a sketch with her when she was hosting Saturday Night Live. So he said he's smoking a cigarette. He's on the phone with Britney Spears, and he sees this like car down the street, like a black car that he assumed was like a cop car or something. And he said, I can't remember the number. I don't remember if it was 1 guy or 2 or 3 guys. But he's like, guys got out in black suits and everything. And I thought, did he think those were like Blues Brothers cosplayers at first? Because basically, the men in black look like the Blues Brothers.
True.
My little joke. You understand. But anyway, he said that, I think it was maybe 1 guy. He said this guy looked at him and gave him just like a dirty look. Like just like really gave him the stink eye real quick. And he was like, that's weird. And I was watching the video of him talking about it. He said that he basically like looked at the guy, was like, that's weird. Looked away for a beat, looked back in the car and everything was gone.
Oh.
And he was like, what the hell? He walks back in after a cigarette break. They got a call from the network that said, I think they worked a little bit more. I think they did a little bit more of the interview. Then they get a call from the network saying like, shut it all down. We're not doing this show. It's not airing. Don't do anything else at all. And that was the end of the show.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So it never aired or anything. This interview was I think it was from that same interview that they released on Netflix of him talking about UFOs or whatever from like the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And he was like, maybe we'll do something with it on DVD or something. And it doesn't seem like they ever did. I did light Googling to see if I could find something. And it seems like that show is just gone.
That is wild.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's a traditional Men in Black story with a little twist of Britney.
Yeah.
The way I prefer my stories.
That's great.
I know. Is that sweet?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that all these like people that are theorists and stuff. There is, I'm going to say this like this, the devil's advocate argument. Whatever. We try to view everything from all sides a little bit.
Yeah. Sometimes I believe it from all sides.
You've got a built-in convenient ending if you don't want to do this stuff anymore. If you've been talking to people about aliens for decades and you're like, I don't want to.
I think I'm tapped out.
Don't care anymore.
I think I got it.
Yeah, no, a guy in a hat looked at me once and Yeah, then my camera broke. So
I better cut it out.
Sorry, everyone. I can't do it anymore. I bet it was the Men in Black.
I can't put myself in this kind of danger.
Yeah,
we all know about the Men in Black.
You
like
just
they're
stop whenever you want.
They're the boogeyman. We all like everybody has the same language in this community. If I say the Men in Black are after me, like nobody's gonna fault me for wanting to stop.
Absolutely.
They know the danger.
It's almost the code word for to stop.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So that's Men in Black.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Cool, right?
Yeah. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't talk about it because it felt like I might say things that probably wouldn't be nice.
Okay.
Mom and I went to.
Oh, right. Yes.
There was a thing at a local library nearby that our mom saw.
Yeah, libraries are real hotbeds of spreading information about aliens and stuff. The Bridgeport Library in Connecticut gives me Albert Bender.
Well, they're hotbeds of spreading information. Say that like it's like not what they usually do. It's almost all they do, you could say.
Fair point. Go on.
So, Mom saw a thing that somebody had basically. I say this to diminish it as much as possible. I was gonna say she saw a thing that somebody booked a room to talk about aliens.
Okay.
What it was like there was an advertisement that a guy was gonna be talking about alien abduction cases. This one particular man's story. His name was like Billy Ray Muffin or something.
Billy Ray Muffin. Oh,
Billy Meyer.
Was it? I feel like he had like kind of a crazy name, like Boots McGill or something.
Oh, hold on, that's the guy who was telling the stories.
Oh, do you remember the guy's name? Okay,
I
okay,
do,
yeah.
Say it.
Okay.
So, it was this guy that was telling a room of people.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of seats in that room.
Yep, I saw a picture.
Yeah. And there were a few of us.
Mm-hmm.
It was very interesting.
Yeah.
But it was about a guy not dissimilar from this Indrid Cold,
mm-hmm.
who believed that he'd had sort of encounters and stuff.
Yeah.
And that government agencies were after him, and that there had been 21 assassination attempts on him.
Wow, that's...
Mom and I had a lot of questions about why those assassination attempts didn't...
That's a lot of times to fail, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad they did, but I'm just saying.
And for them to like...
Was this from the government, he's saying?
Yeah.
Why are they so bad at it?
I know. That was kind of what I was thinking.
Okay, go ahead.
And the answers weren't quite satisfying the questions.
Mm-hmm.
So at a certain point, we left. We sat in the room. We sat in the room for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And then he was answering someone's question. There was a woman in the front row who was getting pretty combative.
Uh-huh.
She was like, this story's full of holes.
Oh, God.
And
oh,
like,
my God.
Like, I went there. The person who's delivering us the information obviously believes in the story of Billy Ray Muffin.
Right.
And Billy Ray Muffin obviously believes in his experiences.
Yeah.
But I went there knowing that it was entertainment.
Yes.
You know, I didn't go there expecting real concrete information.
Yeah, you're not looking at, I don't know, you're not too concerned about the veracity and the holes, right?
But there came a certain point where a woman in the front row was just going like, but then why wouldn't this have happened? This far more likely event, okay? And her point wasn't like aliens aren't real.
Yeah.
Her point was that like this particular event didn't sound that realistic.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, if you really want to poke holes in this, just don't believe it at all.
I'm about to say, just say like aliens aren't real or something.
So they were getting in almost like, not an argument. Nobody was angry.
Yeah.
She seemed a little uptight.
I'm about to say, she sounds a little angry.
The guy who booked the room and was delivering the information was keeping his head together pretty well. But at a certain point, Mom and I stood up and I kept trying to like kind of give a little wave to the guy to be like, cool, that was fun. Yeah, have a good rest of the night. And he never looked over at us.
He's probably panicking.
Let me think. There were 7 of us in the room.
They were locked in battle.
Yeah, there were 7 of us in the room. There was a woman with 2 young daughters.
Yeah.
And every time I looked over at them, because I was like, I wonder if she's regretting bringing her children here.
Right.
He'd be talking about like the planarians, like a race of aliens that delivered information. And she'd be sitting there nodding her head like, yeah.
Okay, got it.
All right. And then look at the
How
kids.
are those kids doing?
They're like working on coloring books and stuff.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Okay.
It's like eating Cheerios in church.
Yep. It was a real wild scene, man.
Sounds like it. Damn.
Yeah. But
damn.
Yeah.
What was the guy's name presenting the information?
I'm not gonna say it.
Okay. I actually was surprised that you were going to, so I was just going to go with it. I think that's fine.
No, I think it was Billy Meyer as the person who saw the aliens.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the person that did the presentation had just been like amazed by the story.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Mm-hmm.
But there was an amazing thing where he had a PowerPoint presentation and he kept going like, all right, here we go. I've got, there aren't many slides. I'll be showing you a few slides though.
Were there a ton of slides?
And he starts cycling through and he gets like the 3rd slide. And there are a bunch of pictures of UFOs and he goes, now so you can see the UFOs in these pictures. There's one picture in particular that is amazing. It is like, absolute evidence of seeing a spaceship from somewhere else. And I tried to get it in here, but I just couldn't get it in here.
Don't tell us.
I was thinking like, don't tell me about that. Yeah. And also like why is it any different from getting the other stuff you did
why couldn't you get it in there?
In there. I don't understand what the difference is.
Weird.
And then he hits right again, and there's just like a blank slide, and he goes, huh. He keeps hitting right on the keyboard, and he goes, well, I guess that's it.
That's how it ended?
That's how that part ended. And then at about the 45-minute mark, he went, and there's just, he was like telling us stories about the assassination attempts and stuff. And he goes, and boy, I mean, some of the things that Billy has experienced are really, really amazing and really wild and stuff that you wouldn't believe. Stuff that would really like blow your mind.
Try me.
And he goes, but there's so much, like I can't even really get into it. So,
then why are you doing this presentation?
Why don't we just open it up to questions?
I have a question. What kinds of things?
What's the other half of this thing?
Yeah.
I know this was free, but what's going on?
That's so weird.
How come you couldn't get a picture in your PowerPoint?
Yeah. What's wrong with your PowerPoint?
It should have been no different from the other pictures you put in there. Theoretically. He gave us a handout. I have it somewhere.
Yeah.
We'll have to do some research and see if it...
Okay.
But
I thought we'll have to do some research to find it.
Yeah, just it's... I don't know. I was excited about going to this thing to like talk about it on the show. Yeah. And I went and I was like...
It wasn't great fodder.
I can't really talk about because I don't really have anything.
Right? No, I know.
I would say I'd feel bad.
Totally
about really saying.
Yeah. It's not a great topic.
No, just like I feel like it didn't go the way the guy wanted it to.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
But as we were leaving, Mom's like, this is not the kind of thing that Mom would want to do.
Yeah.
As we were leaving, Mom was like, I can't believe we went to this.
Yeah.
And I was like, of course, like if you invite me to this thing, I'm going to this.
Yeah.
thing.
I had a friend's birthday dinner to go to. Otherwise, I would have been there.
Yeah. And so we were leaving, and Mom knows like some of the librarians.
Yeah.
So she like waved goodbye to somebody, and then she was like, "Oh boy, I wonder if she's like, what is Kathy doing?"
Oh
here?
yeah, I wonder if they think that Mom's like a wacko now.
Yeah, for sure.
I hope so. That's awesome.
But it's also awesome to think that like, these little library rooms. Sometimes you're in there, and it's kids like making macaroni artwork and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go there, and it's like an author talking about a book. Sometimes it's just some guy who wants to talk about aliens for a while.
I know. Which is really sweet.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
It was great. Great.
William, we're going to have a good story to talk about this weekend.
That's right.
A little bit of a field trip thing. Guys, I've said it on the last couple of episodes that we're using your Patreon bucks for good. William and I are going to the NJ HorrorCon this weekend on Saturday.
Yeah, that's right.
Saturday, September 22nd. We're going to go there. We don't have a firm plan. We're probably going to live stream here and there. We're going to check in with you guys, post pictures and stuff. So I would just say keep an eye on the Guide to the Unknown social media on Saturday because we should be showing you some cool stuff.
Yeah, we might get to see some celebrities.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Shake some hands.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Shake some hands, kiss some butts.
Yep, for sure, without a doubt. Yeah, it's where is it? Atlantic City?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if anybody out there is also going, let us know.
Oh yeah, totally.
Get in touch with us. We're at GTTU Pod on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can send us a message, whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, we've got to do some live streaming.
Yeah, we totally will. We'll have of course. We'll have some dispatches from the HorrorCon. So thank you so much for donating to Patreon because we use that to get tickets to get us down there because it's a bit of a schlep.
Yeah.
And yeah, it should be really sweet. I think it'll be really fun to see what we come up with.
100%. Yeah. It's going to be a weird, good time. I'm really looking forward to it. I've wanted to go for like several years.
Me too. I kind of wish we went when it was 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
Yep. There was in recent years.
Until this year, it's been 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
And now it's 2 to 3. Yeah. But I mean, it's fine.
2 to 3 minutes.
Hours. Excuse.
Yeah. No,
it's fine. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No,
would have been convenient.
It would have been, but we're going to make a party out of it.
Yeah, no, it'd be fun. I love long drives.
Yeah, but that does bring us to the end of another episode of Guide to the Unknown.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you all so much for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
If you want to contribute to the show as well, Chris and I are looking at other cool things that we can do with the money donated to us on Patreon.
Yeah, and if you have any suggestions, again, contact us either through at GTTUpod on any social media or gttupod@gmail.com.
Yeah, things you'd like us to talk about, things you'd like us to go out there and explore.
Yeah, things you'd like to implant in my brain without me knowing for me to use as a topic on the show.
Exactly. You can do that by signing up on patreon.com/gttupod or just look up Guide to the Unknown in the Patreon app.
Yep.
You can donate whatever you're comfortable with on a monthly basis.
Absolutely. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. You can also go out there and spread the word of GTTU to help spread our influence across the internet and in the real world alike.
That's right.
Tell your friends about our podcast. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to shows. And you can even speak to us individually online.
That's right. I'm at Chillin' Kristen on Instagram.
I am at Haunted Sponge. So we will be back next week to tell you more terrifying stories from the wide world of horror.
That's right.
And definitely pay attention to our social media, because on Saturday you can get extra from us at NJ HorrorCon.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really cool.
I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be weird.
Yeah, totally.
I think there are going to be some things that we're like, oh my God, we need to tell people about this right now.
Oh, I think we're going to be doing a lot of live streaming and stuff. And then those live streams will be saved so you can just like look at the videos later. But I think that our social media is going to be blowing up on Saturday. Yeah. So if you don't follow us already, it would be a good time to.
Yeah, exactly. So get in the mix with us. Yeah. But yeah, until that special time comes, we must travel
to Atlantic City, go away, which is another world. Bye.